Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, January 3rd, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Also feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your specific area. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let's just take a look at the significant feature map across the Atlantic for this evening. We still see that we have a high pressure ridge in the North Atlantic that's dominating the airflow. So all of that easterly wind stretching all the way from the Africa region, across the main development region, all the way into the Caribbean. And we can also see that we have some lines right here that represent a trough that's bringing some amount of rainfall to portions of the northeastern Caribbean. And if you actually take a look back at the satellite images, we can see, yes, that we have that easterly flow of low-level clouds that's sending all of that into the Caribbean because of the high pressure, and we can also see the clouds associated with that trough that's affecting portions of the Leeward Islands and Puerto Rico with some amount of showers and thunderstorms, and we're going to be talking about that some more later on. Let's talk about the forecast that was made yesterday for today across Jamaica. It was stated that we would have received some morning rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica. So 7 a.m. was what was predicted for the rainfall, and then in the afternoon 3 p.m. into the evening hours across portions of mainly southern, central and western Jamaica. And what ended up happening? In the morning, a post was made at 7:10 a.m. that signaled the Doppler radar images showing some amount of green that represent moderate rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica. And if we actually take a look at the satellite images from the afternoon hours up to this evening, we can see that yes, we had a buildup of clouds across portions of St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland, and we got some amount of afternoon rainfall there as well. And if we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, we can actually see some leftover rainfall signaled by that green and the yellow that represent moderate to strong rainfall right there off the coast of Westmoreland. And if you actually take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, yes, we can see the colors that represent some amount of millimeter of rainfall across portions of northern Jamaica this morning. Then we had that rainfall across portions of southern Jamaica in the afternoon. So yes, sections of St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester and St. Elizabeth, as well as portions of Westmoreland, got in on some amount of rainfall this afternoon. Alright, so let us talk temperatures right now. So we can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius in Morant Bay, 23 degrees Celsius in Spanish Town, 22 degrees Celsius in Maypen, 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay. That's for tonight. And if we actually take a look at the forecast, both of the temperature forecasts for the Euro and the GFS model shows that Jamaica is right there in between the above average temperatures and the below average temperatures right there. We know that the blues represent below average temperatures. Yes, we have a good amount of below average temperatures across portions of the central Caribbean right there, the bottom right of your screen. So portions of eastern Jamaica could be getting in on some of that below average temperatures. It's not nothing drastic. It's not anything drastic. It's more than likely about, let's say, 27 to 29 degrees Celsius. That's what we would be expected across the eastern portions of the island during daytime. Then in the nighttime, the usual 21 to 24 degrees Celsius. Alright, so let's talk about the wind forecast for tomorrow. We can see that yes, we're going to be having the greens that signal anywhere from 10 to 20 knots, and we can even see some amount of yellows in there, especially on the north coast on both models, the Euro and the GFS, showing some amount of yellows that signal up to 25 knot winds. So we're going to be having that easterly flow across the island with a bias for the north coast getting in on the most of the wind. And we can also see that when we look at the Saharan air layer map, yes, we're seeing some amount of Saharan dust, mainly to the west of Africa. But the rest that we're seeing, all of this orange and reds that we're seeing, that's not Saharan dust. If it was Saharan dust, we would be seeing a lot of hazy skies across Jamaica. Right now, this is just a lot of dry air, and we can also see some amount of blues that signal that the dry air is being eroded by that trough that's affecting portions of the Leeward Islands right there. But look at the actual Saharan dust map now. We can actually see the browns that represent the dust and the hazy conditions. Most of that is situated across portions of the northern portions of South America right there. So portions of Venezuela, Colombia, Guyana, and Suriname getting in on some of that. Portions of Barbados and Trinidad as well. And this map is showing 2 p.m. on Wednesday. That's the forecast. Alright, so let us talk about the forecast for the rainfall across the island for tomorrow. So we can see that the Euro model is showing some amount of blues that signal some rainfall across portions of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland for tomorrow. What time is this? This is 6 a.m. on Wednesday. And if we actually take a look at the GFS model, we can see the same thing being shown. And we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. So get yourself ready if you're on the north coast and you might be traversing or traveling at that time. There might be some amount of rainfall during the 6 a.m. hour. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's talk about the Caribbean. So yes, we have some amount of low-level easterly clouds sending all of that moisture into portions of the basin. If we actually take a closer look, we can see where yes, that trough has a lot of high-level clouds associated with it. Lots of thunderstorms going on there affecting portions of Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, sections of Anguilla, portions of St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda right there. Lots of rain taking place, and we can also see some sparkling white dots on the lightning detector that signals some amount of lightning and thunder taking place across portions of the same area, Puerto Rico as well. And if we actually take a look at the Doppler radar images, we can see a lot of rainfall, lots of greens, even up into the yellows and reds affecting these very areas. So even if we didn't have the satellite image to show us the clouds, the Doppler radar images would show us that yes, there's a lot of rainfall, happening right now, courtesy of that trough across portions of the northeastern Caribbean. Even down into portions of the Windward Islands, some areas getting in on some amount of rainfall. Look at Martinique getting in on some rainfall across the portions of the eastern side of that island. Portions of St. Lucia, portions of St. Vincent getting in on some amount of rainfall right there. Even portions of Tobago getting in on some rainfall right there as well. If we actually look at the other Doppler radar images showing portions of Venezuela, portions of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana, we can see some amount of rainfall there affecting the area as well. Not so much in terms of rainfall across portions of Belize or the Yucatan Peninsula or Cayman or Cuba. They're experiencing a lot of dry weather conditions at this time. Alright, so let us talk the wind forecast across the Caribbean for tomorrow. We can see that yes, we're going to be having a lot of strong easterly winds, anywhere from 15 to 25 knots across the basin, and both the Euro and the GFS model agree with that. Alright, so let us talk about the forecast in terms of rainfall for the Caribbean for tomorrow. So we can see that yes, we're going to be having some amount of rainfall across the same spots that are being affected by that trough. So portions of the eastern Dominican Republic could get in on some of that rainfall by the trough. Puerto Rico still getting in on some rainfall. Not to mention the same spots that were just mentioned. So the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Bart's, Anguilla, St. Martin, Montserrat even getting in on some of that rainfall as well. Even portions of the Windward Islands. So Dominica, Martinique, portions of St. Lucia might get in according to this model, the Euro model. And if we actually take a look at the GFS model, we actually have some amount of consensus, and we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. We can also see some amount of rainfall across portions of Nicaragua and Costa Rica, some amount of rainfall across portions of eastern portions of Trinidad and portions of Guyana as well. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.